So this is Fraction Ooze. Fraction Ooze is an app that's currently in development. So this is just a working title, Fraction Ooze. I'm not really sure what we want to call this at this point. This game is influenced by Tetris and Fruit Ninja. And I'll just talk briefly about those influences. I just like the idea of the descending game pieces in Tetris and the idea of these pieces accumulating and the game ends when moves are impossible because the pieces have accumulated and there's no time to make any more moves. And just in the Fruit Ninja, just the object of swiping your finger and your finger becoming a knife and cutting the game pieces. So we're going to combine those two ideas into a math game, and that math game is having to do with representing fractions on a number line. So I'll talk a little bit more about the menu screen in a bit. This hasn't really been well thought out at all. Just the basics of a menu screen, having a link to the leaderboard, showing the fraction tower here, and just allowing the user to advance levels if he's feels the beginning levels are too slow, like in Tetris, when it can be time consuming to wait for things to get challenging. The user can advance and start at a later level. So the object of the game here is to cut a fraction. So essentially your finger is a saw blade, just like in Fruit Ninja, your finger is a knife. So the object of the game is to cut the number line at the appropriate location. So you can see that there's 45 different fractions that are going to be randomized throughout the game, and the user is just going to see these 45 fractions over and over again. It's just going to become more challenging with increased speed, and I'll get to that in a minute. So you can see here that the user is supposed to represent 2/5, and perhaps he or she swiped right in the middle, right at the perfect location, in which case that's a correct cut. But anywhere within this zone, this forgiveness zone, it would be considered a correct response. So advancing to the gameplay now, and this is based on a Tetris interface. So a good cut, you can see here the user is trying to get 1/8, represent 1/8. So a good cut, the capsule breaks at that location and it just disintegrates, and then the points are gained. So you can see this is level 1, which just means that the game just started. It also means that the capsules are descending really slowly. Down here where it says streak, it just assumes that the user has gotten one correct. The more they get in a row, correct cuts they get in a row, the higher the streak. And they gain more points as they are getting more in a row correct. And I'll get to some of the other advantages of getting some correct responses in a second. If the user happens to get an incorrect swipe or to cut the capsule at the wrong spot, you can see here that he's cutting around the halfway mark where he should be cutting at 1/8. What happens is that the capsule breaks, but slime will ooze out of the capsule. And this slime, just like in Tetris, will start accumulating on the bottom here. And what happens in the streak, obviously, that big X will come here because they got it wrong. So no points are gained. And what happens is this slime starts accumulating here. If the streak of correct answers equals more points, so as I mentioned, and a streak of 3 or more correct answers equals reduced slime. And I was just thinking it could maybe boil away. And if it's, if you get 4 correct answers and 5 correct answers, maybe it'll boil away and more as you get more correct. As the levels advance, you can see this is now level 21, and the ooze is really accumulated. So the game is going to get far more challenging. First of all, the capsules will start descending much faster as the rounds progress, and they begin to reciprocate a little bit. Not full rotations, just gentle reciprocation, just to add a little bit more challenge to it. Having to cut on an angle, I think, would be an interesting thing to explore. And again, if you want some of this slime to disappear, the user is going to have to get 3 in a row right, and then if he's able to get 4 or 5 in a row, then he can really reduce or boil this slime away. But right now the streak's at 0, so the game just ends when the capsule lands in the slime, just like in Tetris. And there's just a leaderboard as well, so the users can, a daily leaderboard, maybe an all-time leaderboard. So I'd like the function for users to be able to tweet if they get on the leaderboard in the top 10, so they can share their score with students around the world, or share it in a number of different ways. Maybe they want to post it on Facebook. So just leaving that open so that there's a challenge every day for the users to compete, and a little pride is introduced into it as well. I think that's all. Thank you.